The Name That Remains, A Tale for Relaxation. In a peaceful valley near the southern coast, where warm winds carried the scent of dates and sun-baked earth, lived a young man named Kian. Kian had inherited 3 things from his late father: a chest of gold coins, a library of rare books, and the title of village chief. He believed these gifts alone would secure his future. But as the seasons passed, he noticed something unsettling. The gold in the chest seemed to lose its meaning. The books gathered dust. And the villagers grew uncertain, questioning his decisions and drifting away. Kian felt lost. He had wealth, knowledge, and authority, yet none of it felt stable. One evening he visited Master Ramin, an elder known for his calm insight and long years of experience. Ramin had once been a merchant, a traveler, and a student of life. Now he spent his days tending roses and watching the stars. Kian shared his worries. Ramin listened quietly, then said, "A wise man once told me that nothing lasts unless it is used with purpose. Wealth must move. Knowledge must breathe. Leadership must listen." Kian frowned. "But how do I make these things last?" Ramin smiled gently. "By following the path of those who came before you. The great people of every age, leaders, thinkers, builders, all shared the same habits. They asked questions. They worked hard. They learned from others. They never assumed they knew enough." He picked up a rose stem, turning it slowly between his fingers. "Prosperity doesn't come from what you inherit," he said. "It comes from what you practice. The great ones were not great because life was easy. They were great because they kept going when life was hard." Kian looked down at his hands. "I'm afraid of making mistakes." Ramin nodded. "Everyone is. But mistakes are temporary. Pain is temporary. The results of your effort, the character you build, the wisdom you gain, those last forever." He pointed toward the village. "Ask questions. Ask many. Ask often. Curiosity is the lantern that lights the path. And work hard, not for applause, but for mastery. The world rewards those who keep moving, even when the road is steep." Something shifted inside Kian, not a sudden transformation, but a quiet awakening. The next morning, he began again. He traded his gold, learning from merchants who had traveled far. He opened his library and invited villagers to discuss, debate, and question. He sought advice from elders, farmers, sailors, and even children. He worked long hours, not out of fear, but out of purpose. But something was still missing. One day, as Kian walked through the marketplace, he passed a young girl carrying water. She stumbled, and the clay jar cracked, spilling water across the dusty ground. She began to cry. Kian knelt beside her, his fine robes touching the wet earth. "What is your name?" he asked gently. "Zara," she whispered. "Zara," he repeated, letting the name rest between them like a gift. "That's a beautiful name. It means radiance, doesn't it?" She nodded, her tears slowing. Kian smiled, not the formal smile of a chief, but a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Come, Zara. Let's find you another jar. And I'll help you carry the water home." As they walked together, he asked about her family, her favorite games, her dreams. He treated her not as a subject, but as a friend, as someone worthy of his time and care. That evening, Master Ramin saw Kian in the square, helping an old carpenter mend a gate. The next morning, Kian was in the fields, working beside the farmers. In the afternoons, he sat with the weavers, the bakers, the fishermen, learning their names, speaking their language, sharing their burdens. "Kian," they would call out, and his face would light up. "Aras, how is your son's fever?" he would ask. Or, "Sarah, did the new well bring enough water for your garden?" Or, "Farhad, I remember you said your daughter was to be married. When is the celebration?" The people marveled. Their chief remembered their names. He knew their stories. He smiled when he saw them, as if each person were the most important person in the valley. One evening, Master Ramin asked him, "What changed, Kian?" Kian thought for a moment. I realized that leadership is not standing above people, it is walking among them. If I want respect, I must give respect. If I want kindness, I must be kind. If I want trust, I must be trustworthy. He paused, watching the sun set over the valley. I want to be remembered not for the gold I had, or the title I held, but for how I treated people. I want my tongue to speak only truth. I want my actions to be my legacy. Because when I leave this world, all that remains is my name, and I want it to be a good name. Ramin placed a hand on his shoulder. You have learned the deepest lesson, my son. To treat others as you wish to be treated. To be the example you want to see. To walk as a leader walks, with humility, with warmth, with honesty adorning every word. He smiled. You are not just leading the village now. You are befriending it. And a friend is worth more than 1,000 rulers. The seasons continued to turn, and Kian's name became beloved throughout the valley and beyond. People would say, "Go to Kian's valley, where the chief knows your name and greets you with a smile. Where honesty flows like water, and kindness is the law. Where the leader walks beside you, not ahead of you." When travelers asked what made the valley so prosperous, the villagers would answer, "It is not the gold or the land. It is the way we treat one another." Our chief taught us that the sweetest sound to any person is their own name, spoken with care. That a smile is a gift anyone can give. That truth is the finest ornament for the tongue. And that good deeds are the only treasure we take with us when we leave this world. And Kian himself would add, quietly, "I am nothing special. I simply learned to treat others the way I wish to be treated. To be a friend to all I meet. To lead by example, not by command. To remember that we are all equal beneath the sky, and that the only difference between us is the goodness we choose to practice." And so the story ends, like a warm breeze returning to the valley. Prosperity follows those who learn from the great. Wisdom grows in those who ask questions. Strength belongs to those who work hard. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Led by walking among people, not above them. Remember names, for they are the sweetest sound. Smile generously. Speak only truth. Let good deeds be your legacy. In the end, we leave only our name. Let it be a good name. What we inherit gives us a beginning, but what we practice gives us a life. The courage to grow lies not in avoiding uncertainty, but in moving through it with curiosity, effort, and humility, and above all, with kindness toward every soul we meet. As Sadi taught, human beings are members of a whole, in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is afflicted with pain, other members uneasy will remain. Rest well, knowing that tomorrow offers another chance to ask, to work, to grow, and to treat every person you meet as a friend, remembering their name, offering your smile, and adorning your words with truth. For in the end, we are remembered not for what we owned, but for how we made others feel, and for the goodness we left behind.